This is Will Smith from Artificial Brain.
This is Mike from Devil Driver.
This is Adrian Cowan from Seven Spires.
I'm Corey Hoffing from Crimson Shadows.
Hey, this is Paul Mazurkowitz, the drummer from Cannibal Corpse, and you are listening to The Great Metal Debate.
Hey, metal fans, welcome back to the show for another metal artist interview. Tonight we're descending into the dark metal carnival, joined by Raven and Muppet from Raven Black. Guys, thank you all so much for joining us on the Great Metal Debate.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So we're here in Clarksville, Tennessee at the Warehouse. It's been a little over a year since you all performed here. That was the first time I saw you all perform live. We're on tour with Aboleth. I know this is a big question. What's been up with the band in the year since?
Well, we've been on support tours just relentlessly. We just finished the Devil Driver Ginger tour last fall of 2018, and then we came home, and then we went out again in early spring with Cradle of Filth and Wednesday 13. And then we went back home, and then now we're getting ready to go out with Static X, Devil Driver, Wednesday 13, and Dope.
Those are some amazing bands. I mean, what was it like to be out on the road with those guys? And did you get to go to venues and cities that you'd not been to before?
Canada, with the Cradle of Filth run, Canada was new. So that was really cool to see, especially Montreal, because it's like the metal capital of Canada. So that was awesome to see in person. But we've been to most of the states that these runs have been on. But Canada was new for us, and we're actually excited to go back on this run as well. We're hitting 3 dates up in Canada again, which is very fun for us. Very fun traveling.
Crazy. The Canadians are crazy, but a good crazy. Going out with these big bands, I mean, you know, like Ginger, I mean, they're going all over the world right now, so good for them. They're our sister band now under the Oracle management. Devil Driver, Cradle of Filth, Wednesday 13. We're all under the blanket of the Oracle management team with Des Fafara and Anastasia Fafara, our managers. These opportunities, having great management behind you, a great booking agency, M7, you know, just kind of pushing us out there, really helping us to grow, you know, the exposure of meeting new fans, gaining new fans, playing our music at these big, huge, you know, venues. We've played all of the House of Blues. Specifically one that I'm thinking of is like House of Blues Chicago. House of Blues New Orleans was just amazing, our favorite spot. And, you know, we just met so many people. One example would be we met a couple that are clothing designers who live in New Orleans and run their business out of New Orleans. And now they're sponsoring us with their clothing brand, and they made a Raven Black collection by Malefic. So that's Malefic Apparel, and it's spelled Malefic. But they're amazing. They've made voodoo dolls of us. So those are for sale online now. So it's been, you know, just the travel, meeting fans. We've got all these new Rejects, Raven's Rejects fans. It's been an amazing experience. It's a huge growth spurt for us from 2017 to now. And we're just going to keep continuing, and we're just going to keep going.
Well, since this is the first time we've had you on the show, I do want to get a little bit of background from you. First, did either of you grow up in musical households?
My mom taught piano, so the cool thing about that was she said I would only, when she was pregnant with me, I'd only ever move when she played piano. So that's how she knew I was going to be a musician, because any other time of the day I'd never react to anything, but then she'd start thumping away and I would move. So that, she definitely instilled that from me from, you know, the very first memories I ever have. And I know Raven's very influenced by her parents as well.
So my parents, in the 60s, they played in a band, and it's not the U.S. band, but my mom is from Vietnam, and both my parents played in a band when they were dating, and they were called the Black Crows, and it was very 60s, very Mod Squad, alternative rock, definitely, you know, mimicking back. Probably influences would be like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, you know, Black Sabbath, that kind of thing. It wasn't quite, there was metal there, but it was definitely a different time and era. So not what we hear today in metal, which is, you know, more suited to what we do. But I was actually named Raven because Crow didn't seem like a most feminine enough name, so they named me Raven. But it is my middle name, and it's my real name. That's the story. But yeah, my dad played guitar. Both my parents sang. My mom is an amazing singer. She does a lot of folklore, operatic stuff too, which I know that's where my vocals come from, are both my parents.
And if you don't mind talking a little bit about influences, like what was it that first got you into the heavier side of music?
Well, I get asked this question a lot because people will say, well, you sing, you have a very strong singing voice, why the screaming, you could go do pop, you can go do anything else. Honestly, my answer's always been true and is the same today, is there's a lot of emotional baggage or emotional experiences I've had in my life that will probably eventually surface as we get more popular and of course the music and the comic books come out. There's some fiction there, but there's some reality in that too from our lives. But it will on its own organically unfold. But a lot of trauma, a lot of challenging times in my life as a person, as a female, that the heavier music really helps me express everything lyrically, which pop music would not ever do.
And how about you, Muppet?
For me, it was Avenged Sevenfold. The first time I heard them, up until that point, I was listening to a lot of like pop punk, like Blink-182. Like Travis Barker was my first drumming influence, and I always wanted to see if I could get my hands to ever go as fast as he did. And then the first time I heard Reverend with Avenged Sevenfold, I was like, wait a second, your feet can do this too? It blew my mind. I remember listening to City of Evil over and over, just being blown away by the complexity that I've never heard up until that point that the Reverend brought to the table. And I was like, I gotta see more of this genre of music, what metal entails. And then I discovered Joey Jordison, Metallica, Lars Ulrich, but then I got Joey Jordison was a huge influence as well. Reverend was the first metal drummer. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And anything and everything metal that I could get my hands on, and still to this day, I love listening to new metal. And listening to how these drummers voice their ideas on a kit, it's always inspirational, and it always gives me that drive to get better, because I believe that I personally can never master the drums. I can only get better and better and better and better. So it's like an ongoing search to get better and learn other ideas to influence it.
Well, I don't want to dwell too much on the past. I do want to talk about the present, which is very exciting. I know you guys have a single, Risen from the Ashes, released just today. Tell us a little bit about that song.
Well, it stems from it stems from our new upcoming album called the Black Album, our upcoming Black Album. We're hoping to release early 2020, maybe possibly fall of 2019, but that's very, very close, so it's probably going to be 2020. But Risen from the Ashes is about the backstory from the comic book issue where Raven was, in her past life, burned at the stake for practicing magic. So Risen from the Ashes is really the story about her. And in the lyrics, it's about rising from any time you've been burned, any kind of, stress that you face in life. It's about rising together and overcoming that. So it's an uplifting song, per se, but it's very heavy. And there's a lot of anger and angst in it, of course. Obviously, she was burned at the stake. So that's kind of tying into our upcoming comic book issue number 2, We Came Across the Darkness. So, our albums are always concept albums, and follows our stories of our lives, our past lives, present, and future. But it is meant to be a very inspiring song. Why we chose it for this release date and this tour is because, obviously, our tribute to Wayne Static.
And I'm assuming we're going to hear that one tonight?
Yes, you are. Tonight will be our first time playing it live here at Clarksville at the Warehouse. So we're super excited. Very, very excited.
And would you say, is this sound maybe representative of the other songs that you have in the hamper, or what's coming down the pike as far as the new songs you're working on?
Absolutely. Both Risen from the Ashes, and Carnival are going to be the 2 songs off the new record, like Raven was saying. But they are definitely an insight to how this record's going to sound. And we're very excited on how it's sounded already and where it's going. And we can't wait to get this next record out. So hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Well, again, I had a chance to see you guys perform last year, and I was so impressed by the energy on stage and how the crowd fed off that. I mean, as an artist, what's that like? How does that influence your performance, seeing the crowd get into the music and respond to what you're doing on stage?
It's the best feeling ever, because when you're seeing people, first and foremost, to get into music, I've always been a fan of music. So music that inspires me, I always sing along with. I always move to the same grooves. Like the parts that I look forward in the songs always strikes to my core. And to be able to see people respond to your music the way that you feel about music that got you into this is the most surreal thing in the world, because you see their passion behind it, and then it pumps you up, because it's their belief in your music, their excitement on the riffs and the fills that you're playing, that I hit harder, I go crazier, I'll yell at people when they're yelling at me, and like it's a much more encompassing experience. Now everyone's a part of the show, and it's not just just watching the band. Now it's just like, oh, I'm gonna yell at this guy. Oh, okay, well I'm gonna yell back at you. Oh my God, okay, cool. So now we're both yelling at each other and enjoying the same part of the song together.
You're all making the music together.
Exactly.
And of course, there's a very strong visual component to your performance. I'm curious, to what extent is that visual aesthetic a natural reflection of the music versus just its own artistic endeavor?
It's both, because like me and a lot of the stage props and the visuals that we share during our live performances is created by hand by myself or Muppet helping me, create this. The band creates it. So for me, visually, it needs to connect to the story, connects to the song or one of the songs or several of the songs. We as a band really made a decision, especially when we released the song Carnival, and at the outro, we really hit it hard with "Come to the Carnival," and we repeat it. And really, that is the invitation that we want to create, that like encompassing experience for each of our fans, which is you are part of this carnival. And that was the whole concept from the beginning, which was we created the Dark Metal Carnival to invite all of those to come and join us in this celebration of metal music, dark metal music, dark horror theme, gothic, creepy, scary, demented, twisted, just anything goes. And we treat our fans the same way. They treat us the same way. As no judgment. I'm very anti-judgment. And, when you see us on this next tour, you will start seeing some darker imagery. We built our own stage props this time, and there is an upright cross and an upside-down cross. And it is, they're both dipped into hell and now have risen for our new song. So, things like that, but it's the duality of good and evil, the duality of life. And I always say in everything that I write, finding that balance, just to seek happiness or peace.
Can't wait to see those new stage setups. Beginning to wrap up with you, and you touched on this earlier, after this show in Clarksville, what are the band's plans for the remainder of 2019?
Right now, it's both static runs across America and Canada. So we're on this one with same lineup for the next one as well. So it'll be Static, Devil Driver, Dope, Wednesday 13, and us. And it'll be June, July, and then also in November, December.
And after that, working on the album some more?
Yeah, we're basically trying to get in the studio August through September to hopefully try to see if we can get this album done by the second leg, the North American Part 2 of the Static X run. If we can manage to get it done, mixed, mastered, and ready to go, we will release it this fall. If not, it will be probably February of 2020.
Well, final question, because I know you guys have to get ready for the show and prepare the visuals. What's the best way for fans to purchase music and merchandise from Raven Black, including your most recent album, 13?
Through our label, it's WURMgroup.com, and that's WURMgroup.com. For our music, our merchandise, you'll definitely go to the OracleMerchStore.com, and they'll have all of our merch that's available there.
Oh, and Malefic as well.
MaleficApparel.com.
Well, I want to encourage fans to do that, purchase music and merchandise from this band. great guys. I was taken aback when I came in here. You all were already hanging out with fans on the tour bus, just hanging with them. I mean, you're very fan friendly, and I encourage folks to come out and see you on this upcoming tour.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.